a super job in coverage on Tony Woodruff. Tony Woodruff saw Johnson in trouble and was trying to work his way back to the quarterback, but Terry Irvin, the veteran from Jackson State, just made a super play to stay with him.
So we'll see Glenn Harper in the ball game now.
Boy, he's had his troubles this year. They blocked a lot of punts on him.
5, I think it is.
Of course, it's not always his fault.
No, like that pass from center wasn't the greatest. And this is Jeff Treflin. And Treflin, who had an outstanding game last week against Saskatchewan, is wrapped up immediately by Rob Smith, number 54, who was first downfield for the Stampeders. And so Montreal will begin inside their 35-yard line. So they actually give up 12 yards on the exchange. It's an 8-7 ball game in favor of the Stampeders, who scored on their very first possession, held Montreal, and then on the second possession of the ball game, Gary Allen coughed up a fumble. Montreal recovered, and 3 plays later, they had tied it at 7. J.P. Hay missed a 54-yard field goal attempt. And that's where we are with 3:35 left to play in this opening quarter. Another corporal's guard here at the Big O, which is unfortunate because the players have really been giving it their all the last 3 weeks. Ryan Ransom looks, fires. Boy, this looked like a volleyball exchange for a while. It was batted in the air. Could have been completed, could have been intercepted.
Oh, it hit Greg Peterson right in the head. Watch this one now. It's going to go through the fingers of the receiver. Watch this. Hits him right in the face. Greg, get the hands up there, buddy.
I don't think
it with your face mask.
I think he must have anticipated that the ball was going to be caught or at least knocked down at that point. So it's 2nd and 10, Alouettes from their 35. Pass from Brian Ransom all the way down to the 25-yard line to Gil Stiegel, number 85. He got Ronald Hopkins turned around, and Ronnie just couldn't adjust to the football as the Alouettes pick up 53 yards.
Well, that's the thing. He got in behind him, and even though the ball's a little bit underthrown, he's able to react back to it, and Ronnie Hopkins has no idea where it was. What a big play for Montreal.
So it is first down. Alouettes, the ball at the Calgary 23.5-yard line. Ransom fires quickly, and it's complete to Stiegel inside the 15 to the 14, with Hopkins again forced to make the stop.
Well, it's not surprising, you know, with Gil Stiegel. When he played with Denver in the USFL, he caught 16 passes in one game, and of course that was a USFL record, and he makes a nice catch once again and fights upfield for what could be another first down.
Stiegel's not a very big guy at 5'9" and 170, but he's a young man that they anticipate will be with this club for a while. At least they feel that he has the athletic ability to be a superior pass receiver in the Canadian Football League.
Well, of course, it's one area of the Montreal team that they finally feel they've got the right people in there. Gerald Alphin, Gil Stiegel, James Hood, and Jacques Chapdelaine. You know, it's not a bad receiving corps.
It's first down, Alouettes at the 13. Ransom goes and actually threw that ball away. There was excellent coverage by that Calgary secondary. And when Ransom saw that the pressure was coming, he just fired it right out of the end.
Pat, though, that shows a little maturity on Brian Ransom's part. Rather than try and force the ball in, and boy, he's sure done that a few times this year. He's given up 23 interceptions. He's in scoring range now. You don't want to give up that easy 3 that you're sure you've got. Of course, you want the touchdown, but if everything's jammed up, throw it away, and he did the smart thing.
Ransom is 5 of 7 in passing so far for 103 yards, and that touchdown pass to Sean Faulkner. And he goes deep in the end zone this time, but unfortunately, it was over the head of the intended pass receiver, Gerald Alphin.
Well, he'd run an excellent pass pattern, and Brian Ransom just floated that ball out a little too far. Well, that brings on the Big Z, and how about him last week? 5 field goals, 5 for 5.
As a matter of fact, he's been 9 for 9 since joining the Alouettes. He's got 991 points in the CFL, and with a point after already tonight, if he can kick this one through the uprights, He'll be just 5 back of that magic 1,000 mark. 20-yard field goal is good. And with 1:07 left to play in the opening quarter, the Montreal Alouettes, who have had great success against Western opposition here at the Big O, they have defeated Edmonton, they have defeated British Columbia, they have defeated Saskatchewan, now go in front of Calgary 10-8. And as you look at Zenon Andrews' decision number 3, let's say that there's another area of the ball club that has been helped in the last few weeks because he has come in as the punter and field goal kicker and been very, very impressive in both.
Yeah, they've struggled with their punting this year, and since he's come here, he's been able to help them out in that department.
So the Stampeders elect to start from their 35. The toss goes to Gary Allen. This was the play that he started the ball game with. He picked up 25 yards on that occasion. This time he picks up 18 before Rayford Cooks finally forces him out. Number 69.
Allen gives some credit to Marshall Toner, number 76, the slot back to that side of the field. He puts a great block on number 23, Dave Daniels, and that allows Gary Allen to get downfield. You know, anytime you get over 1,000 yards, obviously you've got some great athletic ability yourself, but that offensive line and those slot backs have done an excellent job blocking.
Stampeders trailing 10-8 find themselves with a first down at their own 53-yard line. Pass is complete to Tolbert, but quickly on the spot was Steve Benjamin, number 2, to wrap him up after a pickup of maybe 3 yards.
Well, Montreal had the perfect defense called for that play. They played a zone where they rolled the corner up Steve Benjamin, and anytime you're trying to throw a flat pass into a kind of zone coverage they had on, there's no way you're going to complete it for many yards.
So give them 3, make it 2nd and 7. Rick Johnson has been good on 3 of 6 passes tonight for 26 yards. It's been the running game of the Calgary Stampeders that has stood out so far.
Well, I think they've really confused the Montreal defense so far. Those linemen just can't pin their ears back and come.
The pass was intended for Gary Allen. Johnson was forced to throw it before Allen had a chance to turn back and look at him. So it goes incomplete, and the Stampeders will be punting when we come back, because at the end of the first quarter of play, it is Montreal 10, punting, and doesn't get a very good one away. It takes a bounce to Jeff Treflin at the 19-yard line, and the cover team of the Stampeders was there in full force. He couldn't pick up any yardage at all as Woodson was down to make the tackle. Well, there's a look at what happened in the first quarter of play. You can see it was close enough. The big stat there is the turnover by Gary Allen, because Montreal capitalized on it, and 3 plays later went in for a touchdown. But it's been a close ball game, and you can see that the statistical story is such that it would indicate that. They spot the ball at the 20-yard line, and that's where Brian Ransom and the Montreal Alouette offense takes over. The toss goes to Sean Faulkner. And he is wrapped up back inside the 10-yard line at about the 8 by Harold Hallman, who has had just an outstanding season, number 99, and may well be a Shenley candidate in a couple of categories for the Stampeders.
Well, you know, we suggested at the top of the show that Montreal might be able to have some success running against the Calgary Stampeders. Not so. Number 14, Larry Hogue, was so deep in the backfield, Sean Faulkner had no chance to get that play going. Yeah, Harold Hallman really has played well. I think
he's had a terrific year, and there he creates a 2nd and 20 situation for Montreal. The pass is complete to number 86, Gerald Alphin, and then has it stolen away. Ronnie Hopkins will make this one of the most unusual turnovers that you'll see in a football game. Let's take a look at how the pass was completed initially.
Well, Gerald Alphin just makes a super catch, but watch the ball pop loose on the tackle by Greg Peterson.
Offside, Montreal number 85, decline.
Number 15, Ronnie Hopkins has the ball. Montreal was called for offside, but Calgary, of course, will decline it.
And they'll have the ball when we come back. They trail 10-8. The Alouettes are out in front, and we'll return in a moment. Well, there's Ronnie Hopkins. Boy, what a job he did to give the Stampeders a first down at the Montreal 37 on a very unusual play. As Rick Johnson looks, fires. A flag will come down. Interference will be the call. Emmanuel Tolbert was the intended receiver. Rick Ryan will be called because of the collision.
Well, that's one of those penalties that you have to call, but it's really an unfortunate situation.
Forward pass interference, Montreal number 27, first down.
You know, Rick Ryan wasn't really trying to interfere with Emmanuel Tolbert. They just collided, and of course Emmanuel's entitled to his area, and the flag has to be thrown. He's breaking deep down the middle. That's Ryan's territory, but you see right there the bump, and no question about that.
So it is first down, Stampeders. The ball at the Montreal 13. Calgary trailing by 2 points as we open the second quarter. And this is Gary Allen trying to get to the outside. But there was excellent pursuit by Lamont Jeffers, the linebacker, who came with him all the way from across the field and forced him out as Allen got just inside the 10-yard line.
Well, both defenses tonight have really been good at penetrating that offensive line and making those running backs take a deep route to the outside. That time it was Steve Rocky, 99, and of course Lamont Jeffers cleaned up, but Harold Hallman's been able to do it. Now Steve Rocky for the Alouettes.
Gentlemen, you notice how unhappy Ron Hopkins looked on the bench. It just happens that was his man. He's told me he got beat deep and got very lucky. He doesn't feel real good about himself right now.
As a matter of fact, he's been beaten deep a couple of times already in this ball game. It's second down, about 7 yards to go. Tim Petras is inside the 5 to the 3-yard line, and if he doesn't have the first down, he'll certainly be close enough for them to go for it. Lamont Jeffers again made the tackle for Montreal.
Boy, a few times it really seems like Rick Johnson has crossed up that Montreal defense with his play selection. You know, you've got to be thinking 2nd and 6 right there pass against the leading passing team in the country, and he crosses them up with a Tim Petras run.
Well, Tony Woodruff goes out of the ball game. The short yardage offense comes in. I was just going to say they better send somebody else out, otherwise they're going to have 13 men on the field. But Marshall Toner leaves, and on third down and less than a yard, let's see what Rick Johnson elects to do. I would think he would keep it himself. But he doesn't. And just as well, because in for the touchdown is Gary Allen. So they weren't going for the first down. They were going for the touchdown, and they get it on Gary Allen's his 6th touchdown of the season.
Yeah, that's his 5th touchdown rushing, and of course they go along the right side of that offensive line. They got Kari Lirenko, George Gilbert, and Bob Foley. They're 3 big horses, and they do an easy job paving the way for Gary Allen to get in. Good block by number 12, Tim Petras, as well. But look at that job that offensive line's doing.
Just blowing them right back about 4 yards. J.T. Hayes' point after is good, and the Stampeders are back out in front. They surrendered the lead for the only time in this ball game late in the first quarter, but they come roaring back. Stampeders 15, Montreal 10, and we'll return in a moment. Recover from adversity, come right back, and that's exactly what the Stampeders have done. They surrendered the lead, but then after they were given that opportunity on the fumble recovery by Ronnie Hopkins, they come right back and just a couple of plays later scored the touchdown that has put them back out in front of Montreal 15-10 as J.T. Hay will be kicking it deep to either Sean Faulkner 36 or Jeff Treflin 29. But he doesn't get it that deep, and again it will go to Brett Williams at the 31.
I love to see him run with it.
Well, I mean, you're looking at a defensive lineman who loves running with the football and gets to the 48-yard line before running into Mike Emery.
Well, 6'3" and 260 pounds, and it almost looks as though J.T. Hayes tried to kick it in that area, but watch the nice soft hands by Brett Williams. He gets the football, and this is his dream come true. He gets to run with it. Put that head down. He'll cover it up with 2 hands. He knows what he's doing.
And Montreal is delighted with the field position. They take over at their own 49-yard line. The give is to Faulkner right off the bat. And Faulkner explodes into Calgary territory at the 47-yard line before little Richie Hall at 5'6" finally brings him down.
Well, this is what they were able to do last week. They've got Tony Johns in the ballgame, although he didn't really throw much of a block. He's a good blocking back, and Sean Faulkner really lays some punishment on number 27, Richie Hall.
A 16-yard gain, first down, Montreal at the Calgary 47. Again, this is Faulkner. But this time he doesn't have much success because Bernie Morrison got his hands on him first, and that tripped him up as he fell to the 45-yard line and enabled Vince Goldsmith to finally make the tackle.
Pat, you were saying how instrumental the Calgary offensive line was in the last touchdown, and I'll tell you what, center Bob Pohl is willing to take all the credit. He says his line mates, the 5 guys down in front, are just blowing away Montreal's front 3.
Well, they sure are. It's 2nd down and 8 yards to go. As Ransom rolls out of there, stops, throws, and this one was very nearly picked off by Hopkins. He just jumped in front of James Hood, and before Hood could do anything about it, Hopkins almost had the ball in his hands.
Well, you know, James Hood ran a pretty good pass pattern. We're going to have a look at him here as he breaks it to the outside. He tries to push him deep and then break it. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just that Brian Ransom was extremely late throwing the football, and Ronnie Hopkins had a great chance to make the interception.
So after failing on 2nd down, Zenon Andrusichin is in the ball game now to punt from the Calgary 45.
There's no question, you know, Brian Ransom throws better rolling to his right than he does to his left.
Well, most quarterbacks do, of course. The ball will bounce into the end zone, and Allen watches it roll out of bounds. So credit Zenon Andrusichin with a single point, and the Montreal Alouettes have drawn to within 4. It's Calgary 15, Alouettes 11. We'll be back in a moment. Well, if you will remember this face, you'll remember one of the great players in Montreal Alouette history, Steve Ferrighelli, who scored such a memorable touchdown in a Grey Cup game. Steve, what are you doing now?
Well, since I've left the game, I've joined a corporation called the Sir Winston Churchill Pub. It's a bar and a restaurant in downtown Montreal. I've been very successful there. I've been there for 10 years, and I haven't been traded, cut, or put on waivers, so I can't complain, you know.
Well, you look like you're in fit enough shape to be able to play this game, and earlier the Alouettes could have used you.
Well, I look at it when I played the game. I had a few injuries here and there. At least in the club, the only injuries I have is my liver, my kidney, and I've managed to survive that up to this time.
Steve, you look terrific, and it's always a pleasure to see the guys who made the game so interesting for us.
Thank you very much.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Steve Ferrighelli, the former great Montreal fullback, as the Alouettes and the Stampeders go at it hammer and tong down here. The Stampeders with a 2nd down, 7 yard to go situation with the ball at their 38-yard line. Johnson in a whole lot of trouble because Steve Rocky was right in his face back at the 33-yard line.
Well, that's what the Montreal Alouettes really need to do. They've got to try and get some pressure on Rick Johnson. They haven't been able to do so far, but Steve Rocky comes in and gets a big sack, and of course, they want to get that ball back. Patty O, do you think there's a chance that you and I might be in to visit Steve after the game tonight?
I don't know, but I'll tell you, he looks dashing in that bow tie.
I like that bow tie. Green bow tie. Well, he's a flashy guy. We all know that.
So Glenn Harper will be punting on 3rd down and 12. As the Alouettes come up big. They trail by only 4 points, and that one is blocked again. The 6th time this year that the Calgary Stampeders have had a punt block, and I believe this time it might have been Ken Cianconi. It indeed was. Ken Cianconi blocks the punt and makes the recovery at the 15-yard line.
Well, all the teams in the CFL have watched the films, and a big gap is left. Ken Cianconi comes through. That's the easiest block he'll ever have, and what a break for the Alouettes. They've already scored on 1 turnover here in the first half. They get their 2nd opportunity.
And there's a look at it one more time, and Cianconi knew he had it all the way. There was absolutely nobody to pick him up as he came roaring through, and the Alouettes begin from the Calgary 15-yard line. Ransom on a delayed draw to Sean Faulkner, and Faulkner, who gained more than 130 yards against Saskatchewan last week, is into the 6-yard line before James Walker finally brings him down.
Well, of course, this is what Montreal would love to be able to do. Just take this ball, run it down Calgary's throat, and excellent blocking up front. Tony Johns leading the way once again, and well, they got a great opportunity to take the lead back and capitalize on the 2nd turnover. Sean Faulkner over 100 yards last week in rushing against the Saskatchewan Roughriders. He is definitely their back of the future.
Montreal going nowhere in 1986, but having success against the West. The Stampeders trying to lock up a playoff berth, now with their work cut out for them. As the Alouettes' Tony Johns takes it to the 5, and he would appear to have the 1st down. Jacques DeCarry, the referee, says, let's bring those chains out here because this one is close.
Well, if the ball's touching that 5-yard line, it looks as though it may be a 1st down.
Jacques Chapdelaine will bring the next play in from head coach Gary Durchik. because they're conferring on the sidelines.
Oh, boy, that is so short.
And here comes Chapdelaine.
He's coming in with the play called get the first down.
Yeah, well, they've only got about 2 inches to go. I mean, I would be flabbergasted if anybody but the quarterback carried this one. You're trailing by 4 points. You're midway through the second quarter. You've just gotten a big break. It's 3rd down and inches to go. So let's watch and see. Brian Ransom is at quarterback. Now they got Tony Johnson. They've got Sean Faulkner there, but they only need a couple of inches for the first down. Ransom dropped the football. Woodson may have recovered for the Stampeders because it appeared that the Alouettes were offside to begin with. And let's wait and see.
Well, there's no question Kevin Molly jumped on the left side. It was either Kevin Molly or Lloyd Fairbanks. And what a break for the Stampeders. Oh, boy. Well, you can't make mistakes like this.
Procedure, Montreal 61, decline, first down Calgary.
Well, the reason that the Calgary Stampeders are fighting for a playoff spot and the Montreal Alouettes are not is a play like that.
Now, you know what? That's really a good point, Pat. That's the difference between the good teams and the so-so teams. You just don't beat yourself, and what a great opportunity Montreal had to take the lead. And, well, you know, you only get so many chances in a game to score. You better take advantage.
Handoff goes to Gary Allen. And Allen is up to about the 9-yard line with Rayford Cooks on his back, bringing him down at that point.
Well, you know, Rayford Cooks must be a pretty good ball player because he's replacing Sandy Armstrong tonight, and Sandy Armstrong was having a good year. There's a look at the new middle linebacker, Will Coakley, if he gets his nose in there as well.
Stampeders would dearly love to pick up a couple of first downs right here. They have 2nd down and 7 yards to go at this moment. Johnson keeping it himself, gets the first down, and steps out as he gets to the 19-yard line. Good-looking play. He faked to both backs and just kept it himself and got outside.
Well, you know, Rick Johnson really would rather not run with the football, but when you're backed up in your own end, you really got to do anything you can to get out of there. You want to try and get at least a couple of first downs, and then if you bog down, you can punt the ball away and have a little breathing room. But he did a nice job to get out of that pocket and run for the first down.
And, of course, this is what they want. If they can get a couple of first downs, they don't have to move all the way down the field. Just get some breathing room and then hem Montreal in down in their territory.
Oh, it's a game of field position, and they want to just kind of reestablish some.
Johnson's pass over the head of the intended receiver, Emmanuel Tolbert. It's funny, you know, we were talking about what to expect from Calgary tonight, and some people were saying they really figured that Johnson would fill the air with footballs. But so far, Stampeders have been fairly conservative. He's only thrown 8 times, completed 3 of them for 26 yards.
And he better quit throwing that quick out to the short side of the field on first down, because every time Montreal has rolled their corner up, and there's no way you're going to be able to complete that ball. They completed one earlier to Emmanuel Tolbert, but they only picked up about 3 yards.
So he has a 2nd and 10. The ball at the Calgary 19. Johnson again rolls out of there. But this time he throws the football, and it is complete to Ray Alexander. Alexander will be short of the first down, being brought down by Terry Irvin.
Ray Alexander makes the catch, but really it doesn't make a heck of a lot of difference because they're going to be well short of that first down. He was wide open. You know, he worked back to the quarterback. He ran an excellent pass pattern, took Terry Irvin deep, and then worked back to the quarterback. But for some reason, Rick Johnson just did not want to throw it to him early enough.
So Ray Alexander picks up his 81st pass reception of the year.
Some people may say 81. Well, that's getting pretty close to the team record. Patio, you know who the team record holder is in Calgary.
Oh, what a great one he was. Terry Evanson when he combined with Peter Lisk. And Terry had well over 90. I believe it was around 96. Ryan Dudley on the punt return gets it out over the 45 to the 47 for the Owls. Ryan Potter, number 33, was down to make the stop.
Can't fool you with those trivia questions. 96 was the number. Terry Evanson did that.
Well, what may be the biggest game of the year is the Stampeders' next and final home game of 1986 as they complete their 86 schedule against the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Now, if they win tonight's ball game, they, of course, clinch the playoff spot. But if they don't, Saskatchewan comes to town for what could be the biggest game of 1986 in McMahon Stadium. Flags are down all over the field as Gil Spiegel on that reverse steps out of bounds at the 50. He'd only have a pickup of a couple of yards. He ran at least 60 to get the 2.
I think Dan Matheson ran about 60 yards to get out of the way of him.
Well, shows Dan's a lot smarter than some people would have given him credit for.
I think Harold Hallman got clipped in the backfield. I don't know how Jacques Decarie will determine this, but
well, the old spy eyes were at it again.
Holding Montreal, number 61. First down repeated.
Well, those are back-to-back real big miscues by Kevin Molly, the left offensive guard. He was the one who jumped offside when the ball was at the 5-yard line. And now he's called for holding, and it forces the Owls back inside their 40 to the 38-yard line. Hanson sets up the screen, but the back couldn't get over there to make the catch on the ball. The blockers were out there. Molly was out there, and so was Glenn Keeble, but the ball didn't get to the back.
now sometimes with Calgary coming in that all-out blitz, it's very difficult to run a screen pass because somebody's got Sean Faulkner in man-to-man coverage. I believe it was 97 Garrett Dahl, and he just said there's no way you're going to get out into this pass pattern.
Second down and 20. Ransom is going deep. That one was very nearly picked up. It was intended for Gerald Alford, but Mel Jenkins played it well, number 28. And so too did Larry Hogue.
Yeah, they both came right together. In fact, I think had Larry Hogue not run into Mel Jenkins, he would have made the interception. But the big thing is the ball's knocked down. They're going to get it back to their offense. And what is a 15-11 game? Calgary Stampeders ahead.
With 4 minutes and 20 seconds left to play in the second quarter. And that's Zenon Andrusichin punting for Toronto, or for Montreal, rather. Very short punt. And flags come down as the Calgary Stampeders' Darcy Kopp gets the ball out over the 50 to the 51. No yards will be called against the Alouettes.
Interesting to see how they determine this. You know, this year the rule has been changed that if there's a short punt and people are trying to get out of the way, they can, of course, throw the flag, but then wave it off. But obviously, Jacques Decarie and his staff felt that Montreal did not try and get out of the way of that short kick.
It was a terrible punt by Andrusichin.
No yards. Montreal, number 22. First down.
So they call Wes Cooper on the no yards penalty, and it gives the Stampeders a first down in Montreal territory. At the